Okay, next. Uh, Again, make sure that you're doing these videos in order. If this is the first video you're seeing, make sure you go back and start with the Getting Started video for learning HTML and web development, where we downloaded this editor, Visual Studio Code, made our folder, made our first web page. All right, assuming you've done all that and you're caught up with me, let's start with our first elements here. So we're going to begin with the most basic HTML. Now notice as I start typing, I begin with a less than sign, and it pops up this list. This is a list of all HTML elements I might want to add right here. And so if you ever forget, you can always come back to it right here, enter it in. We close it with the greater than sign. Let's enter down. Now in the new version of HTML5, and obviously that implies that HTML has gone through a lot of different versions, we landed on HTML 4.01 for a long time. Then the next standard became XHTML. We landed on that for a few years. Then the World Wide Web Consortium, the standards body who defines what standard HTML is, got smart and said, okay, instead of trying to force everyone to use our standard, let's find out what everybody on the web is doing. And they did this incredible code scraping survey where they looked at all of the most common websites to see how web developers were coding, and they adjusted HTML5 to fit those patterns. Anyway, we'll talk more about this later, but for now, know that in HTML5, it's actually not even required to include this HTML tag. We call these elements. For short, we'll call it a tag. This tag says everything in between here and here is going to be HTML code. Well, that's kind of implied by the fact that it's a .html file, so this tag has been deprecated and is not necessary, but 99% of the web still uses it, so you're going to see it when you go to edit other files, so I'm just going to include it for now. It doesn't hurt to include it. It's not against HTML5 standards to use it. It's just not required. Anyway, two more tags in the same boat as HTML, the head tag and body tag. All right, so I'm going to save myself a bit of room here. First thing about HTML is that it ignores white space, meaning these lines right here could be all on the same line and it wouldn't make a bit of difference. It's not like a Word document where when you hit a hard return, that's going to move your text down. You'll see what I mean more in just a second. Let me tell you what these two tags are doing. So a head tag is everything about a web page, except for it's none of the content that goes in a web page, it's just everything about it. So for example, let's include one more tag here called title. Let's put on here your name, my resume, or something like that. So Control S or Command S to save this, and let's open this web page up. Now, just in case you forgot, the way we open it up in a browser is go straight through Finder or Windows Explorer to this folder you created, that file, double click to open it in a browser. And notice, okay, I just added, whoops, right here, the text my resume in a title. Where's that gone? Well, let me pull my screen down a bit. Can you see where it went now? Right here. So this represents the title of the tab, or that goes in the browser. Let me pull that back up out of the way. So again, I told you head is everything about a web page. It's not, but nothing that actually goes on the page itself will be in the head. Hence, title belongs here in the head because this goes up on the browser and not in the actual body. Down here is where we're going to put all the content that shows up on the web page itself. So let's start with something simple, the H1 tag. So we're going to put your name. I'm just going to make this for someone else. Your name's resume. Command S or Control S. Let's head back to your page. And now we don't have to reopen it to view it. We can just refresh the page. So there we go. There's our great big text. All right, so again, recap. HTML head body, not necessary for the new HTML5 standard. However, these exist on most of the web, so I wanted you to learn these and be aware of them. Title, this is what gives it a name up here up in the tab. And then H1, what does this mean? Well, H1 stands for heading. And there's actually heading 1. If you delete in here and open this up again and type H, you'll notice there's H1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So as you go progressively down that list, it's going to get smaller and smaller. So for example, let's choose H4. But notice now I've got a problem. It says, Here's the beginning and ending of that tag. I'm opening with an H4, but I'm closing with an H1. We can't do that. That's against the rules. It'll work technically because browsers have been made to identify the common mistakes and errors of human coding and try to fix it automatically, but it's against the standard. And when it's not following the standard, every browser will handle that error differently. And that's why one of the reasons why our web pages end up looking different in different browsers. So for example, let's come back here again and refresh this page. And notice because it's H4, it does get smaller. However, it's still violating a standard right here. So let's stop this video here and let's talk about how to identify and fix those standards in the next video.